Obviously the background to the issue is that violence against women and girls is a huge social problem. So in the UK, in every classroom there are five children in every classroom will be experiencing some form of domestic violence at home. And also in the UK, 2 women every week will die as a result of domestic violence or sexual violence, alongside other issues such as female genital mutilation and forced marriage. And I'm sure those figures are very similar across Europe. We worked with an organisation called Against Violence and Abuse, AVA, the AVA project, and for about 6 years now they have been campaigning and taking action by basically providing training and a prevention approach to roll out at schools, local authorities, and they target audience is every professional who works with children, with young people. So that could be teachers, that could be youth workers, it could be social workers. And so this project came about as a result of comic relief funding for AVA in order to produce a digital prevention platform. The reasons for this are various, but fundamentally it's very difficult to reach teachers with this kind of training. It's difficult to get into schools, and so it was absolutely vital that there was a 30-minute e-learning resource which could be quickly done by basically anyone, and also that the whole project was online, and it now forms the centrepiece of implementing a whole school approach. Saffron became involved. Obviously, Saffron is we produce learning technology solutions in various kinds for the private sector, the public sector, the not-for-profit sector. So the original AVA project plan ran from April in 2013 to April of this year in 2014, and Saffron became involved in the summer, and a lot of the work had been done before in pilot projects. The first phase of a pilot with 6 schools, the second phase of 4 local authorities, to produce a lot of the content that's on the site and to verify and approve that content. And the reason why the project took a long time is that as we were creating it, they were constantly consulting young people, schools and users to ensure the scenarios were correct. And before we begin developing, we will create a look and feel that's approved, we will create a website framework, and we'll create a storyboard. And the storyboard is just a Microsoft Word document that captures everything that happens. And this storyboard is what got pushed out to huge amounts of people. So it's a good way to get lots of input, because at that point it's only a Word document and it's easy to change.
Girls and young women can experience different forms of violence throughout their life. Before she is even born, she can experience domestic violence from within the womb or sex selection. As an infant, she may be neglected, fed less than boys, and given restricted access to medical care or education.
And then we enter the development process. And again, the development process is where Saffron really moves into being the main kind of person doing the work, and it's more we send things to review. Again, we have a very high approach to quality standards, and so there's one project manager and there's also a design lead and a development lead, and they manage their teams, and they're the most capable individuals we have, which means that nothing will leave our offices to go to the client until it's been approved by everyone, by the very kind of most capable person in the area. After that point, the project started to be piloted from effectively January through to April of this year, and the whole year has been a process where they've been populating the website. There was an official launch in September, but actually already the project had started to have a huge impact, both in terms of results at the schools where it had been rolled out in the local authorities. And if you think on the website, there's about 300 resources there that have been produced by lots of different organisations, and they've all been approved by AVA and by national experts. And so when you think about outside assistance, in a way it's channeling probably hundreds of projects, and hundreds of people. So it's very collaborative in terms of the way it was produced.
When planning a session on domestic violence, it's important to prepare carefully. Develop your knowledge on violence against women and girls. Attend a training session. Research some activities. Think about safety and talk to the child protection lead. Start the session by creating a safe and supportive space. Remember to explain the limits of confidentiality and write a group code of conduct.
So the project comes with a model blended approach in terms of rolling out what's called a whole school approach. So this is just in the situation of a school. It can be used in lots of other settings as well. So a whole school approach begins with an exercise in which the school creates a policy, holds a meeting to build awareness and introduce the e-learning. And then everyone in the school will do the actual e-learning. All staff members, whether they're a teacher, whether a janitor, a cook or anything, will do the 30-minute e-learning. And then there's another kind of circle back meeting. And from there, champions are produced who are going to champion this issue. And then at that point, we can then push people to the website where there's lots of lesson plans and there's a comprehensive toolkit. And at that point, they'll be able to get to the stage where they can co-facilitate lessons with students. So they can raise the issue with students, and also they can use the resources in the e-learning. You'll see on the website that we created animations and images for the course, and they're used everywhere, so they can use the actual e-learning as a takeaway piece in the actual classroom as well. And obviously there's huge amounts of video, film resources as well that can all be used. So that's kind of what it looks like in practice. And also what's happening is there's a culture change, there's a skills change in the organisation, and we can expect to see disclosures, increase and successful disclosures. And the message is quite simple. Schools do have a safeguarding officer. It's just about equipping teachers to respond.
You're very popular.
What are you doing with my phone?
You wearing that? You don't want to look cheap, do you? Now, you're not going to make a fool of yourself tonight, are you? I love you too much to let you do that.
I think the challenges were huge, actually, in terms of, firstly, the subject matter. It's very difficult subject matter. To successfully create a scenario around how to manage a disclosure of forced marriage, for example, female genital mutilation. Every single aspect is very sensitive, on a cultural level, on a gender level, on a class level. And so it was a very intense process just to get the storyboard right and approved by lots of people. To do that is difficult. The visual style as well was important. So we use line drawings as a way to disarm the learner, to get rid of preconceptions, and we find it very effective. We use it in work on mental health, even on sensitive soft skills topics, we use line drawings. We had to build in features. For example, the e-learning and the website has a safe space feature, because we have to be aware that at any point, someone doing the e-learning piece or using the website, that could actually trigger a moment where they realise that they're actually a victim. Even things like building in a safe space feature, which means they can quickly click off that site. They can quickly leave the site because they might need to do so if they're in a situation where there's domestic violence. So there's a lot of safety considerations, and it's both physical safety and emotional safety. And also, there was quite a limited budget available. So the website is built, using WordPress. It's not a bespoke website development, and so trying to manage that and make the best use of the budget was also a challenge as well. And the actual course itself, it's basically built on HTML, HTML5, elements of both, and JavaScript. It also includes a Flash fallback, which means it's compatible both with iPads and tablets and larger smartphones, as well as Internet Explorer 8. So it can go backwards as well. And that's very important when you're rolling out something nationally, because at home, everyone's got consumer technology. They want to do it on an iPad. In schools, in local authorities, they have Internet Explorer 8. So you have to do both at the same time.
Anna is in Year 8 and attends the local secondary school. It's not unusual for her and the girls at school to be called names and touched up by the boys. One of the boys in Anna's class keeps staring at her and asks if she will send him a photo of herself. Anna says no, but the next day she notices everyone looking at her and giggling. She gets a message to her mobile phone of a photo of what looks like her giving the boy a blowjob.
AVA, just like the Canva website, are free to go and edit the content and change the content, and that's very important too because the issue keeps changing, and we provided them with training on how to do that. If you actually want to succeed and to win, it has to be creative. I guess it has to be an important and powerful message, but also there's some nuts and bolts in terms of you need to know what metrics you're going to measure, you need to know what results you're going to achieve at the beginning, and then you plan the learning experience around those objectives in order to achieve, say, a behaviour change, or we used a survey, we designed a survey at the beginning and end to directly measure whether the e-learning had an effect. And then if you do that, then you'll be able to demonstrate that you've achieved results. And I think this maybe doesn't just apply to the MEDEA Awards, but to any real award process, is that I think that judges, they need to see creativity, they need to see a fantastic use of technology, but to see those kind of measurable results that this has made a difference and it's all been worthwhile, I think that's a big differentiator. And we don't spend enough time thinking, what's the return on investment from this? What's the return? What are the results? And I think for anyone who's entering, I think, that's a good basis. If you change something significant, then yeah, you should enter,